War Report coming live every Tuesday at 7 with Steve, Cat, Ryan, Amanda, and Eric. And the voice of NEW, Vince Berry. Hitting all the topics like a clothesline flurry. Turn up your speakers and hear them out. You can listen from your car, even on your couch. They too raw, who NXT? Handing out SmackDowns, follow on IG. Plus, it's sponsored by Tag Me a Date. Go to YouTube and sub now for every update. It's all wrestling here. No safe space. Now listen in. Time to hear from some of the greats.
Smell what The Rock is cooking.
Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the War Report After Dark. I was actually going to start tonight's show with CEO Mercedes Monet's music, but our intern botched. He said he uploaded it, but I don't see it here. So we went with The Rock because, well, why the fuck not? It's The Rock. Welcome, everybody, to another edition. Sorry, we took the week off last week. Real life got in the way, but we are back on this road to WrestleMania. What's going on, everybody?
Hanging out, man. Just excited to talk about 2 weeks of wrestling, especially that ass whooping that Cody got last night.
Oh man, we got so much to fucking talk about. It's insane. I love this time of year. It gets me all giddy. Eric, how you doing?
Good. Glad to be back for another week.
Good. Glad to see you.
Oh boy, is that David?
All right, we're going to start off the show with our friend David Rosca, who before we went live posted a couple things over at YouTube. Trish Stratus, is she coming back? You know what? Listen, man, you never say never. She has hinted to the idea that if it was right, she would come back. But it doesn't look like, if you're asking if it's going to happen for WrestleMania, I don't see that happening because, I mean, you've run out of time to build something. So, but you know, there's no reason why she can't. She's still in great shape. If it makes sense and they pay her right, I'm sure she would come back. Anybody disagree with that?
No. I think you're right on. Honestly, I think, you know, money talks.
I mean, that's just it. Money talks. And it's not like she can't go.
She could do a run-in, help, you know, Bailey even the odds or something like that.
I just don't. Do you think
AEW? You know,
I mean, I just don't see WWE. Well, again, it's not Vince anymore, so you know it's possible, right? Because there is that door, there is that forbidden door to be open with this new endeavor taking over that we never imagined during WWE. So I think that there is a chance, more than ever, like we said, right? More than ever is the best chance we probably ever had. Especially with all the moves that's happened lately. Like, it hasn't been this active since the Monday Night Wars. If you think about it, we've seen so many names change faces in the last 3 to 5 years that it's nuts.
I mean, you're not wrong. You know, so, I mean, you never say never. Vinnie Mac, what's going on? Welcome.
Yo, how's it going? Did you guys see that picture of Nakamura and Takeshita taking a picture in an airport?
I did see
it. I did see it.
I know it's not going to happen. I know Nakamura is very, very happy where he is, just constantly jobbing out to Cody Rhodes for the last 2 years. But it would be so much fun to get one more Nakamura run against Okada, because that was like a great time. And I know Nakamura is older and everybody's older, but like that was a great time in New Japan. So I think that would just be a fun thing to kind of revisit. And then having Takeshita involved, like Nakamura Takeshita would be a match that I would just throw money at the television if it was on. So
David Rosca, Trish Stratus debuted on March 19th, 2000 on Sunday Night Heat and debuted on Monday Night Raw March 24th, 2000. And April 2nd, she debuted in the hometown of David's in Anaheim, California at WrestleMania 2000. Wow. There's
don't-
your history lesson for this evening.
If listen, if we ever get out to Anaheim or if there's a WrestleMania in California or something and we all go, David, absolutely. We'll have to come out and say hello. I don't know what if you drive, I don't know what your deal is, but if you can meet us somewhere. Otherwise, we'd have to come say hello. But if
I'll tell you right
WrestleMania is in
now, he
California,
can meet us at Roscoe's.
oh, okay, there we go. Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles.
Absolutely. If
Oh,
you're going
there
to
we go.
your Roscoe's.
Steve, I like the new setup, buddy. I know you probably talked about it already because I was a little late today, but it's looking nice.
Well, I appreciate it. Today was moving day, so I'm exhausted. This is the
I can't
first
believe it.
podcast in the new place, and I think so far it came out pretty nice. So nice little new backdrop,
For real.
and so very cool. Saving a lot of money and got a much nicer place, so I can't complain.
Yeah, I can't believe I was the only one that decided to go to the Garden that night because we were all like, "Hey, it's in Boston, and you guys are in New York." And then I was sitting there. I drove 3 hours by myself to Boston to watch Mercedes Moné debut 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I totally would have too, but with this move and everything
Oh,
else,
dude, I know.
it cost me a fortune. So
It was a
I
blast.
mean, even now, I want to go to Mania, but it's just I just can't swing it right now. It's just stupid.
Where is SummerSlam this year?
Actually, I'm hearing.
Isn't it Chicago
is
Cleveland.
or Detroit? No,
Oh, that's
isn't it
right. It's in
something?
Cleveland. It's in
Cleveland. Cleveland.
Logan Paul leaked it.
I
And
knew
I
it was
feel
one
like-
of those.
And I feel like I heard Survivor Series might be at the Garden.
That would be worth going to.
Oh wow!
Survivor Series at the
Anybody
Garden.
misses the old
I'd
school
fly up for that.
Survivor Series,
What like
like
Yes.
with the teams and
Yes, absolutely.
100%.
Oh man,
I miss the Soul Survivors match where all the guys who from the winning teams got paired up into a babyface and a heel team at the end.
Yeah,
Oh,
I liked that a lot. I know it didn't get a big reception, critically then, which is why they got rid of it. But I don't know, man. There was something about those Survivor Series teams because they ended up having stories within the team. There were 5 guys on each side, and then within that, you'd have like tag teams feuding against each other, and then singles guys feuding against each other. And it wasn't what it ended up being in the last few years of the Survivor. The last few years where they did traditional Survivor Series matches, they were just like Team
All
Raw,
the
Team
feuds
SmackDown, or random
and
people.
pairings were intertwined.
Right. And there was because it felt like an ecosystem. And I know they're kind of getting back to that now. But like even listening to old NWA World Championship Wrestling reviews and stuff and like listen to that, the guys would go out and talk about the mid-card guys would talk about the main event guys, and the main event guys would be like, "Hey, I heard what you said." And even though they wouldn't have a match right away, it was like a real thing. Like they were talking. It wasn't just like I came on TV and I'm talking about the thing I need to talk about, and I have no idea what happened 5 minutes beforehand, because somebody has said action and I have to go. Like they made it feel. It felt alive, man. Like when 10 guys were fighting, there was a reason for at least 3 or 4 of those guys to all mutually hate each other.
Oh
right,
yeah.
for sure.
But yeah, no, I do. I miss it a lot. I think it made something. It made Survivor Series special because it was different.
And it
Yes,
being on Thanksgiving night back. in
That
the
was
day.
fun. Yeah.
Must be Tara. I got to say, I love this whole final boss storyline. I do too. We'll get more into that as we get along. David Rosca, SummerSlam Cleveland. We went over that. And
Thank you,
Rhea
Dave.
Ripley, Stinkface, Nia Jax on live event, which I saw the video. It was fantastic.
I got to appreciate the jiggle.
I'll tell you what. And you know what was even funnier was Buddy.
Yes, I was just gonna say that.
Buddy Matthews responded. I get to live that every night or some shit, which was great.
Thank you, Tara, for the comment about the final boss thing, and we will talk about it because I think there's there's positives to it. The Rock is the Rock, baby. It's the first time he's been the Rock since like 2003. It feels
listen,
like, but I have some concerns about the other people involved in this storyline that aren't the Rock, but we'll get into that.
the fuck was that?
Yeah,
Facebook
It's-
user. So how long until the universe turns on Cody? It's a matter of time.
it's
He's got to
already
win the
happening.
belt first.
dude. No, I'm seeing it on the dumb Facebook group I'm on. That's like 100% pro WWE.
Yeah, but they don't.
anti
They don't.
AEW.
They don't count. They don't count.
Dude, they're starting to turn on Cody. The diehard WWE fans in this group are starting to turn on Cody. It's not a lot. It's a small number of them, but they're starting to catch on to like Cody crying all the time and like busting out the old NWA. I'm going to wear a white shirt and bleed a lot in my blonde hair thing. Like he's
He's going to be so fucking over at WrestleMania night 2. It's not even funny because he's going to have to defeat all the odds because they're going to have to do the bloodline. There's no way they're not doing bloodline rules.
But did you see there was some interesting stuff in the background of Raw this week?
Did you notice Drew McIntyre and Paul Heyman talking in the background?
A certain tall Scottishman and a certain short Jew were having a conversation.
I've seen it. I've seen it.
You know, I wasn't thinking that Cody, like, listen, I've been saying this the whole time. It feels like we're landing a plane and Cody's got to win this thing at WrestleMania. They're at least trying to put a little bit of mystery in it now because, like, if Drew interferes, that changes everything. But when he interferes, because here's the thing: if
he hates the bloodline, though, doesn't he?
But so here's the deal: but he can't challenge. Well, if I'm trying to work this one out, if Cody and Seth win on night 1, then it's not tribal warfare, and the bloodline's banned from ringside. So for Roman Reigns to win by interference like he usually does, he has to have somebody from outside of the bloodline interfere, and it could be Drew McIntyre.
But doesn't Drew blame them for his injury?
Very true. He does hate him.
But why is he even talking to Heyman on camera then? Why would he even entertain that? Why wouldn't Paul be like, "Excuse me, sir, I need to talk to you," and he'd be like, "Fuck off."
Well, maybe he interferes in night 1.
Maybe he interferes, and that's what I was thinking too. He can interfere on
night 1 because that's the match that benefits him. It's like, hey, I know we're enemies, but the enemy of the enemy is my friend. So
it weakens Seth. Yeah.
Exactly.
You know, Dave Abbey over at Facebook makes a good point too. Philly is a different breed of fan. So
yeah, but it's WrestleMania. The difference is with WrestleMania, you're getting fans international and from different states. So you're getting a good mix. But listen, we've all been to WrestleMania. Or most of us have.
In Philly.
I think if the ECW crowd wins out, Cody might have a tough time because The Rock, while undeniably a heel, is undeniably the coolest motherfucker on that TV show right now. And how could you just not cheer for it? Like, you want to boo him because he's a bad guy, but then he's so good at it. Like, you're like, this is why he left for Hollywood in the first place. They saw shit like this on TV and they like, you need to come over. Like, he's doing so good that it makes me concerned about Roman because Roman's taking a back seat right now. It feels.
Oh, yeah, people talk about Cody being the afterthought. Roman's the afterthought.
But also the Cody versus Roman is an afterthought right now. Friday night, they did not get a very good response of their back and forth. That was the first face-to-face meeting Cody and Roman have had in like months, and it didn't get as big as of a response as Cody going face-to-face with The Rock. So, I mean, they got to pivot. Ooh, all right.
What the fuck is David Ruska talking about? Minaj to the WWE.
I think that's just him and Eric mutually making a wish upon a star.
Wait, what is that? What did he say?
He's saying Cardi B and Nicki Minaj to the WWE. What do you think?
I would love to know where the fuck he heard that. I mean,
I think he's trying. It's like The Secret, that book, The Secret. He's trying to will it into existence.
I'm okay with Nicki, but Cardi can go.
Although I will listen, say what you want about either of them, but I think if any of them had a shot at coming, it would be Cardi B because I think she has been vocal that she's a fan of WWE.
Well, I also think it would be a great opportunity for them to also bring in Lizzo and then do the stink face thing again.
What's stink face?
Where Lizzo does what Rhea Ripley did on the house show. She just comes in and stink faces people.
Oh my God.
That would be the best. Lizzo comes out and plays the flute. She plays the flute as their entrance song, and then the finisher is that she just gives everybody a stink face.
Oh my God!
AKA, that's how she gives everybody pink eye.
They don't want to call it the stink face anymore. They call it the pink eye.
Jesus
That's
Christ!
Hilarious.
But this Meek Mill character is going to perform. I don't know who the fuck that
is. Also, I understand that this is all for marketing purposes, and Meek Mill tweeted out that he wanted free tickets from Triple H, and Triple H says, "Oh yeah, you and your son have free tickets." I know this was all set up in advance, but let me think about this. Meek Mill gotta have money, right? You don't have a name like Meek Mill without how could you not just buy a ticket, you cheap fuck? Is what I'm saying. asking for a free ticket on Twitter. Can I just ask for a free ticket on Twitter? Triple H, I'll take a free ticket. I'm not Meek Mill.
And isn't it weird to think about that? All this stuff with Diddy right now, and we saw him perform at WrestleMania.
Yeah,
we did. Dude,
I actually went to the bathroom during that performance.
That's probably the most watched WrestleMania right now.
Oh,
people are like, oh, Diddy's on there. Let's see him.
Dude, I remember that. I remember vividly being able, after that show, I was like, I can say that I saw WrestleMania, Living Color, and Diddy all in the same night. I was like, that's a pretty good night.
That is a pretty good night. So let's talk about last night. I know we missed last week, and we have a lot to cover. Mercedes Moné is now CEO, which I told the gang before you came on. Ryan had one job he botched. It's not up there. He says he did it.
Song?
Yeah, it ain't there. So we had to open with The Rock. But in any event, how was the pop? Let's start there. How was the pop? How was the reaction? Because it sounded loud as hell on TV. I know the CEO chants are piped in. It's part of the song.
I'll address that too. Yeah. So just to back it up a little bit, I get there, 90 minutes early, figuring I gotta wait. I park in the parking lot. I eat my sandwiches. I go to get in line. I'm following the Google map on my phone or whatever it is, and like from the parking lot, I'm walking, and it says the entrance to the garden is here. So I'm walking to the entrance to the garden, and right before I take the steps or the escalator up to where the box office is, I look around and I realize there's thousands of people here, and the gates haven't opened yet. The line, I had to walk around. The line wrapped around the block. I had to go walk way the fuck away from the garden to even stand in line before I even got inside. And as you're in line, there's people out there who printed out their own stacks of I'm here for the Monet and Monet crew or whatever. Like they were handing out the green signs that you saw in the crowd was fans handing them out. It was very, very cool. Yeah, the pop was ridiculous. The CEO chant they're saying it's piped in. It's not piped in like
I
they're
don't
piping
mean
it
piped
right.
in. It's part of the song.
It's part of the song.
Right.
It's to get you used to the idea that her new nickname is the CEO instead of the boss. And WCW did it for Goldberg to get the Goldberg chant over initially. And SmackDown has been doing it for the last 27 years.
Right.
Like every week, they put fake crowd noise over taped episodes of stuff. And I have no problem with them using it to establish. And the funny part is I'm there on my phone, reading Reddit stuff about all the crowd chants are piped in. And I'm sitting with 10,000 people who are all chanting CEO. They were all there to see her. Mark Sherman was in the front row.
He was on TV.
He was on TV. Yeah, they showed him a bunch of times. He was in the front row. John Cena Sr. was there. Corey and a bunch of the Northeast Wrestling faithful were sitting by the stage as they usually do. People came who remember Mercedes KV from her very young indie days when she was Vlad's manager. She was Vlad's manager for like this much of time. And she was on the indies, and then Mikaze, she was there with Mikaze and Chaotic and Killer Kowalski School and all that shit. This was like, it was almost like a high school reunion. I saw people I hadn't seen in 10 years at that fucking show. It was amazing. There were Monet chants before the show. It started with a Sasha chant, and as it was almost fitting. It's Tasha, Sasha, Monet, and like it just transitioned, and it was almost like the crowd collectively accepted that her new name was Monet and was like, okay, we can move on. The pop was enormous. I mean, like I said, I've been to 4 or 5 WrestleManias, and while there weren't 70,000 people in the building, 10,000 people in the Boston Garden with the roof on top of it. It's not a open air stadium. It was deafening, and they were there the whole night for the promo that she was on. They supported her at the main event when she came out, and throughout the whole show, what I just want to get out there is that was the most positive wrestling show I've ever been to. There were no snarky chants. There were no "you fucked ups." There was no "what" chants. There was no CM Punk chants. It was all, everybody was, it was almost like you were going to church. Everybody was there for the same reason. It was like this is a homecoming for a new person, and we're welcoming them. But also like Joe came out and he got treated like a god. Will Ospreay came out and people are already singing along to his song going, Ospreay, Ospreay. Takeshita came out. He gets treated like a fucking rock star. Orange Cassidy comes out and the place loses him. The whole show was just like, once Mercedes came out and set the tone with the CEO song and the big flashy kind of presentation, the promo was fine. It is what it is. It was typical Sasha whatever stuff, but the crowd was just in the whole time was just invested in the show. And I can't recommend. I got a ticket for $10. If you can spend between 10 and or I spent 25. One of my friends spent 10 to go in the upper bowl. If you want to spend between 10 and $30 for a night out, go to AEW. It's a lot of fun.
Oh.
And your seats didn't look bad at all.
Dude, I had
price.
Beautiful seats. Those were probably $75 seats. You know what I mean? I waited until the day of to see what the resellers were doing. And to be honest, there were some reselling seats, throughout the whole stadium, but not an exaggerated, not a large. What I'm saying is, by the time the day of the show came, there weren't that many reseller seats left. Everybody, people were intentionally, whether it was through Ticketmaster or through StubHub or wherever the resellers are, people were intentionally buying. They came to see Sasha. People were there with the green shirt. I mean, they had Monet shirts, bootlegging, like the guys used to sell the bootleg shirts outside Yankee Stadium. They had bootleg Mercedes Monet "I Was There" shirts. They were pushing them in a little cart, selling them outside the arena. It was crazy. It was crazy.
That's amazing.
I can only equate it to like it was, like LeBron James coming back to Cleveland or something. It was pretty cool.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And Will Ospreay is the guy. Will Ospreay and Swerve, because the people also run over Swerve too. I can't no sell him. Those guys have a presence, and they've already got a bond with the audience. Will Ospreay, who's only been there like a month, and I know he wrestled for a couple matches or whatever, Forbidden Doors and stuff, but like every week he's coming out. His promos are great. He's got that bruv thing. He's got the nobody else in the company talks like him. Nobody has that accent, and it's just it's great. I love Will Ospreay should be a world champion by the end of this year, and if he's not, if he's not, the only reason is Swerve is doing so well as champion that they didn't want to put the belt on Ospreay yet. That's the only reason.
Interesting. So The Rock made it very clear when he cut a scathing promo and then promising Cody's mom that the only belt she's going to be holding is his belt, full of Cody's blood. And I mean, it was a great promo.
And he kept to his
Boy,
word.
did he deliver.
And then he kept his promise last night when he beat the holy hell out of Cody Rhodes. What a great everything about it. The Rock coming out earlier, whispering in his ear, but saying nothing and walking out, to him finally getting involved physically and not just like a slap or a punch. Like this was a straight up ass whooping by the Great One.
Part of me wishes that The Rock found whatever nutritionist or supplement person that he found in his Hollywood days, back in his WWE days. Because if he was this big and jacked and intimidating looking during his initial Attitude Era run, I don't know if he'd ever would have left for Hollywood. Like, I feel like he would have just been champion for 30 years. He looks like a friggin' and I know it's steroids or whatever else it is, and anabol or whatever, but like, holy shit, the guy is. That's why he's called the final boss. He looks like fucking Bowser.
Yeah. For me, the last time I saw The Rock this vicious, and brutal, physically, was when he hit Foley with those 9 unprotected chair shots to the head at the '99 Rumble.
And he was nowhere near as big as he is now.
No, not at all.
No. Cody looked like a child in comparison. It's true. He did. But it was just everything about it. The ass whooping, the bleeding, then The Rock showing his belt that said Mama Rhodes. I mean,
Awesome looking belt, by the way.
yeah, very
The
cool.
the Mama Rhodes belt was a nice touch with the Brahma Bull instead of the American Nightmare logo.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I can't say enough about it. It was such a great segment. But I will say that also made me sit there and said, now there is 1,000% no chance at all that Cody is not winning night 2 of WrestleMania.
Why do you think that?
Because to me, there was no offense from Cody.
Right.
This was literally a just like savage ass whooping.
Well, when a guy hasn't really taken a pin in 2.5 years, he's got to be like, eventually you got to get heat on the fucking guy. Like, I'm glad they finally got heat on him, but it took. We're in March and the fucking shit's 2 weeks away. Like, why was Roman Reigns not on his ass since the Royal Rumble? Like, I just don't understand any of this. You've got a whole bloodline. Why aren't they like?
But now I think because of that, I think that just solidified night 1. Rock and Roman are winning. Bloodline rules. There's no way in hell Cody's going to win, especially after the ass whooping he just got from Rock. But he's going to pull it out, and it's going to be this.
That's what she said.
You know, but that's that's how I see this whole thing going down.
I'm still holding out hope that the ghost of Vince McMahon gets in Triple H's ear and he's like, "Fuck the Rhodes family. They can never win a world title."
Amen.
Like, I just want to say, there's a little piece of me that even if it runs out to SummerSlam and they eventually give him the belt,
Cody's winning the title.
I don't know. I just feel like the money.
I'm sitting there with you, Steve, and it doesn't happen. I want to sit next to you when it doesn't happen.
But
don't get me wrong. I'm good either way.
The problem I'm having right now, Steve, is that the money match is a singles match between Cody and The Rock. It's not a tag team.
Well, but that's going to happen.
SummerSlam.
That's happening.
That's SummerSlam's main event.
Yeah, that's everything I've been hearing too.
And then next year is Rock versus Roman finally.
As long as there's no movies or anything, and everybody's got to stay healthy. Remember,
well, that's the other thing.
Remember 4 months ago when WWE fans were trying to dunk on AEW fans, be like, "Oh, CM Punk's gonna be at WrestleMania," and it's like, yeah, he's gonna be at WrestleMania in a fucking sling, you dopes. Good job. Like, we can't guarantee anybody's gonna be at anything. Oh, here we go.
We have another comment from David Rosca over at YouTube addressing the Cardi B.
You got another first one. Yeah. There's a sequence.
Of course, about Nicki Minaj and Cardi B to the WWE, but it would be awesome on the WWE. Cardi B should do Stinkface, and Cardi B should do Stinkface to Liv Morgan and Trish Stratus.
I'm starting to understand the things that David enjoys in his personal time.
Absolutely.
And I am not listen, I am not one to yuck somebody's yum, and I fully support I fully support whatever that is that you want to get into, and you know, there's a lot of websites where if you put in interracial stink face, I'm sure it's gonna come up. Just saying.
There's a certain hub.
It's okay, Kat. As long as Autumn's not listening, right?
But did you notice in that video with Rhea, Shayna put herself up for tribute first?
That's true. What is this one, Steve?
Tara said that she heard a rumor that a McMahon will be at WrestleMania. I actually did see the rumor also. I don't know how true it is. I can only imagine that's the only one that would make sense.
It would be
Shane or
hilarious if it was Linda.
He's got to make up for last. He got to make up for last year's embarrassment.
Eric, what if Zombie Linda comes out? She's still drugged up from 20 years ago.
Wait, how old are the McMahon? Well, they're all in college, right? Playing football.
Yeah, there's the Trish reference.
Right? Yeah, there you go. Bark like a dog, damn it, bark for me. But Shane's kids, I mean, one of them's already in college and one of them just committed. Like I think they're both lacrosse players.
I think they committed for football.
Oh, they committed for one committed for lacrosse, I think, one committed for football. Maybe they're both football. I don't. Oh no, maybe you're right. Maybe they are both football. I thought one of them was lacrosse, but maybe I'm mixing them up with Hook.
They're totally different from the little guys that were with Shane at WrestleMania versus Taker.
Yeah, I know at least one of them has the itch to get involved, either backstage or be a wrestler. Like he's talked about it on one of his kids has talked about. I don't know if it's Declan or which one, but I know one of Shane's kids has talked about being involved with WWE once he gets out of college. So looking forward to that. The same way I'm looking forward to, again, I'm putting this out in the universe, like Cardi B coming to the WWE. I want Sting's kids to start training. I need Sting's kids to be the new Blade Runners.
From everything I'm hearing, one of the two has no interest at all in doing pro wrestling. I don't know which one, but I heard that.
I know one of them streams on Twitch. You look like that and you stream on Twitch? Give me a fucking break. He's too good looking to be streaming on Twitch. That's why I stream on Twitch.
Shane's eldest is playing football. Youngest is lacrosse in high school.
Okay. And the one in lacrosse, I think, just committed to like University of North Carolina or some big school.
Yeah, Carolina.
Love it.
Shit, I could go see him play.
For real. You could, yeah. Actually, next year when the season starts, you could.
That would get me to some games.
What if
Shane was there?
Yo, that'd be so funny if you're just trying to run into Shane.
Yeah.
The Rock was so savage. It was so good. It was so good. It made the whole night. I have to say too, I think the whole night actually really went well. I like listen, you knew the crowd was going to be electric with CM Punk. They're in Chicago.
Of course.
So that was awesome. Punk, listen, one thing you can't ever say about the guy is he can't cut a promo. He cut a great promo. Then McIntyre, then Seth Rollins. The whole thing I thought was great. The whole dynamic was great.
I'll tell you one where that wasn't great. I mean, it was great, but not for what she thought it was going to be. Becky Lynch and Mommy. Mommy was so over on that. Like, I feel like Becky Lynch promo didn't really captivate the way she wanted it to.
Bro, I think they're going to do a double turn.
Yeah, they might. They
might have at this point. They might have if it wasn't in the plan.
But Becky as a heel never works.
No, it didn't. Like when she turned on Trish, nobody bought that. I mean, not Trish, Charlotte.
But Ray's so over. Like Rhea Ripley's so over right now, and the crowd. Like
that's the problem.
The crowd is going to force her. She's a baby face in a group full of heels.
I really
they
think
cheer her and they boo her.
But you know what? They could also choose to peg Becky as the heel
just
that night,
for that match, right?
And then Monday she's back to being the man, Becky Lynch. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't have to be a full
like Hope
turn.
and Rock.
Rhea is going to be a full turn because there's no way they can't. The crowd is demanding it. I mean,
right. How would you keep the dynamic of the stable if you have one face?
Listen, I could see them turning Judgment Day face with the exception of Dominic. I think he has to stay heel.
But all they have to do for me is sometime at WrestleMania night 1 or night 2 or on the Monday Night Raw afterward is if they want to turn the group babyface, they all beat the shit out of JD McDonough and they throw him out and they bring in R-Truth. And then they're babyfaces.
Well, what about Dominic? The crowd is never going to cheer Dominic.
That's fine. I think that's a great that can be.
Although that could be a face thing too.
Right, that could be their dynamic. Yeah,
right. Like he's the one guy in the team that just still gets booed out of the building.
Right. Well, you remember Larry, Daryl, and Daryl? Wasn't one of them a dick, and the other two were like cool? I'm going back to the Bob Newhart show. Do you guys even remember Larry, Daryl, and Daryl? Oh my god,
I do not.
I mean, even if you think about it, now that you say that, in a way,
because they could try and make him. They could be like, "Hey, you got to try and do this," and he like try, and it fails, and they boo him anyway. I don't good.
The Shield was kind of like that with Mox, if you think about it. Like when they turned babyface, Mox was still a dick.
Yeah,
Seth would
he was still a loose
be like,
cannon, and he didn't give a damn about nothing.
Yeah, those I remember. Like when like Seth and Roman would like when Mox was cutting a promo and he's like leaning forward, they're like looking at each other in the background, like the fuck is this guy talking about?
Yeah, right. Like what the hell's wrong with him?
Yeah.
Now, what do we think about Sami Zayn and our Intercontinental Champion.
I think he's going over on Gunther.
Is he going to the Alpha Academy right now to train and get better?
I mean,
they're doing the Rocky montage. They're doing the Alpha Academy. They're going to do a Sami Zayn Alpha Academy Rocky montage, and it's going to be Ivan Drago and Rocky. Like, okay.
Yes. That's exactly what they're going to do. 100%. And it's going to be amazing.
I just want to see Gunther punch that thing with the sensor, like the pad, like Drago did, and the numbers go up the harder he punches, and they're like, more, and they inject him with the thing and he hits harder. I want to see that, and I want to see the Imperium guys in like lab coats. They're like, we must study this. In
lab coats, that's great.
Lab coats, with like clipboards and shit.
Cat poses a question. Do we know what happened to Ivar and what his injury is? He was supposed to be wrestling last night. They pulled him. He was supposed to face what's his face from Imperium. No, maybe. I don't know. He was supposed to be in a fucking match, and apparently the person he was supposed to fight wrestled, but Ivar was not. Any word on that?
Let me see.
I don't know about it. Update no, first thing I'm hearing.
Oh, you bastards! I'm trying to scroll on this website that is not cooperating with me. I'm gonna go to a different website than SE Scoops. These guys are jobbers, but I'll read their article. Wasn't allowed to compete. Shouldn't expect to see him out of action for long. He'd been advertised to face Andrade. Adam Pearce made the thing. Yeah. And Ivar is said to be fine, according to sources who spoke to Fightful Select, and he's expected to return to the ring soon. Sources did not reveal why the star had been taken out of competition in the first place. So I guess, and that was 17 hours ago. That's the last thing I saw. So no actual diagnosis, but yep, there we go. And Ivar replaced him from Imperium. Yep. There's a weird one here about unless somehow Dominic makes up with Ray, it's not going to be. Well,
I hear they might have a hair versus career match. I heard some rumor like that.
Right, and there's honestly no better way to humble a heel than
cut his hair off.
To have his fucking mullet shaved off. Yeah, I think that could be the start of a heel. You know, if they're going to turn Rhea and they're going to turn Judgment Day. They can turn Dominic. He gets his head shaved, and the next thing you know, he's like wearing wigs and shit to try and cover it up and doing goofy stuff. And like, I don't know, or maybe like his head shaved, he acts more like a prison guy and he brings a bandana back. I don't know, like,
or he starts wearing his own version of a Mysterio mask.
Oh, that's right. He could wear a mask because he had shaved his head. And we finally get him in a mask. Yeah,
that's it.
You know,
El Hijo de Mysterio.
That is it. That is awesome, Steve. Way to think.
Thank you.
That's the way you get him in a mask. That makes all the sense in the world.
I mean, whether or not they go that route.
Right, and whether or not he keeps it all the time, but still, like, to get him, you know. I would love it if that was like his what if Ray hit him in the face so hard he had to wear like it's a lucha libre mask, but it's got like padding in it, and he's like, it's like Bob Orton never took the cast off. He never takes the face mask off because he's like, oh, it hurts my face.
That's funny.
That'd be great.
That would be great.
Because he could do that. Would be such a
he could get a dope Judgment Day mask too.
Dude, it would be so cool. It would be purple. It would kind of be like that purple the Phantom one that Ray wore at Halloween Havoc 97.
Oh yeah,
one. Yeah, the purple with the silver. The other one, the other thing I was thinking of. How about this? As I said, what if Ray? So in the course of this match, career versus hair, Ray hits Dominic with the 619 and pins him. He shaves his head, but then Dominic comes out the next night on Raw wearing the mask, but saying that he broke his nose or broke his cheek or his orbital or something. And the mask isn't just a Lucha Libre mask. It's got like fiberglass in it or something to help protect his face. And then he uses it as a weapon to like headbutt people.
Dashing Dominic Mysterio.
Yes.
Oh God.
Undashing.
And that's such an easy way to get Dominic into a feud with Cody. Because I mean, Cody needs to beat a couple job guys if he's going to be champion. If they're going to take him serious, he's got to dispatch, Dominic in 3 minutes on a Monday Night Raw one night or something. So
hasn't he done that already? couple times.
But dashing Dominic just writes itself.
They wouldn't use dashing again.
I know, but just him feuding with Cody and him being dashing Dominic just to mess with him.
It'd be amazing.
Like Seth was doing to everybody. Like Seth did it to Cody with the Dusty Rhodes scarf.
Right.
Oh, that's true.
Question about
up his Shield versus Roman.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Seth has been using his outfits to like taunt people. Question about this. Speaking of Seth, I still feel like, even though it's a good segment and everybody liked it, and you know it got Drew ratings and millions of YouTube views and all this shit, it still feels like Seth Rollins, despite being the champion, is the odd man out in this feud, and the two over guys are the injured guy CM Punk and Drew McIntyre, whose contract may or may not be, renewed at this point, which I think it is. But I just think I don't know, dude. I feel like Seth Rollins is the afterthought of like two feuds right now. He's not the main focus of either. Like, he's not the main focus of Cody and Rock and Roman's feud, and he's not even the main focus of his own feud, because it's like Drew finishing his story and CM Punk inserting himself, and it's like Seth is, standing in the background while everybody too sweets each other, like at that one Raw.
I mean, at this point, I think Seth Rollins loses.
Yeah.
And then Damian Priest cashes it.
For me, he's the most likely champ to lose his belt at WrestleMania.
Oh yeah,
followed by Io.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be rare, because this used to happen a lot back in the day, where WrestleMania would be a lot of title changes, and then at some point they like stopped doing that, and they gave you a couple. But like they didn't give you Nakamura beating AJ Styles or anything like that. They would always keep one world title retained or something.
Right.
I feel like this WrestleMania might be the great reset. They might just go, you know what? We got a plan starting on Sunday night. They're like, we got a plan that happens 8 p.m. Monday in 24 hours, and we're just going to enact it. And here we go. Boom. Switch a bunch of titles and just go out on Monday like, hey, this is the new direction everybody's going in.
Dave Abbey over at Facebook. Very good question. Why has MJF been removed from the AEW site and store? There are a lot of rumors that because of this now, that maybe he will come help Cody win the title at WrestleMania. Could you imagine if MJF showed up at WrestleMania 40 and helped Cody win?
I'll lose my shit.
And then turns on him the next night.
Right. That would be so MJF. I just don't think they would, I don't know if they'd put MJF in that big of a spot. I don't know if they would regard him high enough in WWE to put him in a position.
But MJF Miz.
But why has MJF been removed is the question.
Well, yeah.
I mean, is he? I mean, that only happens typically when when they're gone, and timing is strange.
He really hasn't been seen since he lost the title.
Well, no, because he had a couple he had at least one surgery that he had to go through, and then he was going to be out. I think it was his shoulder that needed to be worked on. I don't know for certain. I'll also take that with a grain of salt, but I believe it was his shoulder that needed to be worked on. It is conspicuous, but it also plays into what MJF. Yeah, I don't think that comment. I don't want MJF in WWE. Period, for sure.
That was Tara.
I agree with you, Tara. I think
I'm very torn with it. I think on one hand, I think it would be such a watered down version of MJF, but WWE is moving to Netflix.
Yep.
And I don't think there's going to be restrictions like they have, like when The Rock dropped the F-bomb and they bleeped it. I don't know that they're going to have to do that on Netflix.
Well, I don't know. Well, Netflix still markets to there's Netflix Kids.
Depends how they rate it.
Right. It's what they're right. It's the rating that they're going to get prior.
Wait, so
they're going to
maybe
get
you have
the
an
rating.
option of, could you imagine you have an option of rating?
Like you could have the
bleeps
PG
and with the
yeah,
bleeps. That'll be awesome if you could do that.
Oh, that would be awesome.
That would be amazing. But that's why, like, if that's the case, then I don't know that I'm so against MJF coming to WWE. But if they were staying on Fox or staying on USA, then it would be such a watered down version of MJF that I think it would be a mistake. But I think that initial pop seeing MJF at a WrestleMania, I think people will lose their fucking minds. I don't care what anyone says.
I mean, it's, you know, anything's possible. I assumed that his bidding war of 2024 thing that he always talked about was at least partially based in reality, where his contract ends at the, you know, December 31st of this year. Is that the interpretation, or was that his contract expired at January 1st of 2024?
All I remember is hearing the bidding war of 24.
Right. But that's so part of me thinks, you know, there is potential that he could have said, hey, right. He could have said, hey, Tony, exactly that. Buy me out of my contract. And then Tony was just like, fine, I'll buy you out of your or let me buy myself out of my contract.
That was directed to Bill Goldberg, by the way.
Surprised that they let Cody bleed, but censored The Rock. I mean, I think I agree that they didn't censor the blood at all. Although I think we're starting to be a little more lenient with the blood again, especially now that Vince isn't there. But there's one thing when you're going to censor The Rock. I mean, he did drop the F-bomb. It's not like he said asshole or shit or, right. I mean, he said, fuck. So I think in that respect, I guess it had to be censored. Although it was after 11 o'clock, wasn't it? So it was after the 11 o'clock hour. You can turn on USA and hear fuck. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I know blood is one of those things that's, I guess, taboo. Like I feel like we came so far in like the late 80s through the early 2000s of like pushing through overly sensitive people in PC culture, and like things were, the Attitude Era, and there was like a lot of grunge music, and the whole scene, like things were a lot more raw and real back in like that decade. I'm not even just talking about WWE. I'm just talking about that decade in general. And I feel like we've lost so much of that progress to prudes and puritanical people. And the idea of blood on a fucking athletic competition to them is so taboo that God forbid the children see the blood. But like, I don't know if you know this, any kid that's gone out and played wrestling or played baseball or tried to skateboard and scraped up their knee, they know what happens when you make contact with somebody and injuries happen. Like there's blood. And also, like, what the fuck? I feel like maybe I'm fucked up. I'm 37 years old. I watched Ric Flair cut his head open with a razor blade every Monday night from 1996 through 2002. And I feel like I came out pretty okay.
See, but that's the other thing too. So Tyra just commented, dropping an F-bomb is way different than showing fake blood. I don't know what she's watching or what makes her think it's fake blood. There's no such thing. Right? He gigged himself. Absolutely. Because the camera was on The Rock. And then when they went back to Cody, he was bleeding. I mean, he gigged himself for sure. But I don't know what makes her think it's fake blood. Isn't there when they bleed, it's not fake blood.
There are times when it's used, but it's not. I remember AEW used it one time when the Young Bucks' dad got attacked by somebody. The Young Bucks' dad is so crazy. He wanted to blade. He's never done it before, and he's like, "No, I'll just do it. Give me the blade." But they're like, "No, we're gonna do fake blood." But
they didn't want a mass transidence in it,
right? Yes, but you can kind of tell. Yeah, I was just to say, Mox has been bleeding every week since AEW started, pretty much. No, we don't know. Again, we don't. No need to apologize. We don't. I mean, if I take a look at it, I'll be able to tell you, just because there's a consistency thing. There's a difference between stage blood, which is mostly Caro corn syrup and food coloring and some other stuff, and blood. It's just they're different viscosities and they flow differently, and the fake
I'm
blood,
pretty sure if you look close enough you can see where he gigged.
Well, that's the thing. If you see, like, if you went back and looked, a lot of those guys, they do it in you're not supposed to do it like Dusty did it and just carve up your fucking forehead. You're supposed to like go a little bit up into your hairline and then do it in a place where it kind of matches where the pattern of your hair grows. I learned this from Ron Simmons one night. And Ron Simmons apparently gigged a lot in his career and didn't have that many scars. He's like, this is how you do it. You go back a couple inches from your hairline, you go with the pattern of your hair. And the worst part, he said, you go in, you go back, and then at the end, you twist like you're turning a key. And I'm like, oh, nope, I'm out. I don't need to do that ever in my life.
Have you seen Carlos Colon's forehead? Jesus.
Or the lucha guys, if lucha libre guys, if they wore a mask but they had the mouth part open, they would have like a goatee of scars because they would gig on their chin. That one's bad. And then Dusty would get arm color. That was the weirdest one. Dusty would just gig his fucking bicep. He would just and he'd have like a diagonal. Like where did a cat scratch you, Dust? What happened in the middle of the match? You're getting arm color. But he used to do it all the time in the 80s. It was crazy.
Gotta love it. All right.
I'm going back to those 80s stuff more now, and like it's low production, and I know the wrestling might not be as like it's just a different thing, man. It's very cool to just go back and kind of listen to those old promos and watch the way it used to be done, compared to like how produced and shiny and LED screens and all that shit it is now.
Yeah, but there was something about it too, right? Like,
dude, it's literally guys, women at one point in the 80s, it was women in dresses and men in shirt and ties, and they were like there, like it was an event. Wrestling was in town. You dressed up. You went to the show, and the guys were cranking cigarettes in the background, and you see a guy blowing cigar smoke, sitting next to a 3-year-old kid who's just inhaling the cigar smoke.
Or even Days of the Horsemen, where like you'd see 4 guys in the front row dressed, in suits.
They'd have suits on, and they wanted to be the Horsemen. Yeah, my 6th grade teacher almost got in trouble because him and his friends dressed up like Val Venus for a taping of Monday Night Raw. And they got on, they zoomed in. It was 4 guys with no shirts on with towels around their waist. And he was not a small man. And of course, everybody knew who it was. Sorry, Jeff. I'm not going to say his last name. But yeah, Jeff and his 4 buddies got on camera. And then Jeff almost got fired as a 6th grade teacher. But he's fine. He's still teaching. He's in a high school now, I think.
Oh, listen. We're getting already. Jesus, we're at the top of the hour.
Wow.
Rivals.
Yep.
Gotta check out. This is mostly for Mitch too. You got to go back on Peacock, go into the library in the WWE network, and you have to watch TLC 1 and TLC 2 with Edge and Christian versus Matt and Jeff Hardy. Versus Devon and Bubba Ray Dudley.
Wait, Mitch, can I just jump in here? Have you never seen the first 2 TLC matches?
No.
Oh, I almost want one of those things where like he watches it, but then we get to watch his reaction to it.
I know. I know. WrestleMania 17, was that the first one or the second one?
Second one, but it was both. Oh God, it was awesome.
They were both great.
Well, because the very first TLC was the Terry Invitational Tournament final, right? With the bag of money. Was that the first TLC, or was that just a ladder match?
But this is the first ever triple team.
Oh, yes.
That's what I'm more referring to.
SummerSlam 2000 and then WrestleMania 17.
And the Rivals did a great job. I mean, that was a great episode. But it made me think of Mitch right away because I knew he hadn't seen those. Those are ones you got to go back and watch.
Savage versus Roberts is another one.
They were so good. Those 3 teams were just unbelievable, and the amount of tables that break and it's unbelievable.
It makes now, and because here's the thing, you'll watch that match and then you'll see Matt and Jeff Hardy try to walk in the year 2024, and you're like, oh, now I know what happened.
For 3 full years, basically 99 to 2002, they were the teams.
And why would you ever? And I know they all went on to single success, I guess, except for maybe Matt Hardy. But like, why would you ever want to break these guys up? They were so like. It was a magical time for tag team wrestling. We got that back a little bit with like the Young Bucks going against FTR a couple of years ago. But tag team wrestling was in a good place back then. Even WCW had some. I like tag teams in WCW. Don't worry about.
I used to love Harlem Heat with Booker T and his brother.
And they came out with the breathe right nasal strips like the football players used to do back in the day. I loved that shit because I used
to
love their song.
Even the music, ice cold.
Ice song was so cool.
Ice cold.
Yeah, that song went hard. Yeah, the Harlem Heat, it was the Harlem Hangover and all that other stuff that they did. That whole gimmick was fantastic.
They were great.
And Kevin, don't worry about missing the podcast. The good thing about the live stream is that once it's done, or even right now, you can always just scroll back to the beginning and you can catch the whole thing. And still you can't chat anymore, but you can still listen along and see what we talked about. Guys, the arrow is magic. Yeah, man. The best TLC matches. Yes, right, Dave. That's very cool. Everybody's all. I like when everybody agrees in the chat. That's fun.
Do you think? What do you think about AEW letting Goldust come by and help his brother out to let him conquer the belt?
I feel like that's possible.
I've been hearing it's a very strong possibility.
If that happens, that'll be pretty cool. And that honestly, that will give him the extra pop he needs.
The only reason
place will go crazy if he comes out.
Dustin's been very vocal about
I was just going to say, that's why I think it's at least plausible, because he's been very vocal online about it. They've also been debuting, I guess, two more Rhodes just made their debut as a tag team. I think they're like nephews or something. They're like young, and they're coming out.
Oh yeah,
they come out in the old school 1970s, country western tag team attire of like black boots, black trunks, black like leather vest, and then black cowboy hat.
Well, they call them the Naturals.
Yeah, like it's really I think they are just calling them the Naturals. I think maybe it's very interesting. We'll see how those guys do. They got a big.
Oh man, could you imagine those guys versus the Von Erich boys?
Yeah, those Von Erichs are good. One of them is going to be. Both of them are good. One of them is like phenomenal. But anyway.
All right. Well, on that note, folks, we are in the top of the hour.
Yes, sir. We are.
One more show before Mania.
Wow. One more of our shows,
That's
which is
awesome.
Damn. It should, that should happen. The Roses versus the Von Erichs. I mean, listen, they're still all in the Indies. I think it could happen. You just
throw in Devon's kids too.
Those kids are TNT. I think they were called. But they were good. I know they only wrestled a couple matches for AEW and it didn't pan out or whatever. I think Devon was trying to get them into WWE with that, like using the AEW thing as an audition. I don't know if that quite worked. I don't know. I still hold out hope for those guys, and that because it would be very interesting to see Devon's legit brother to sons. They're two brothers. Like I like brother tag teams, man. I think there's a chemistry that you can't teach with brother tag teams.
And remember, Bully hinted at something with the Dudleys around Mania time.
Hey, I have a feeling they're going to be the ones that induct Paul Heyman.
I think that's a good possibility.
That would be awesome.
Yeah,
because I don't think they'd ask Tommy Dreamer, even though he's a good choice too. But he's too wrapped up with TNA, and he also at one point said he was going to shoot Paul Heyman and then kill himself at a WrestleMania. So maybe leave him out of the proceedings. Mitch was shocked by that one. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, wild shit happened, man. Wrestling is. I don't know if you know this, Mitch. Wrestling is real, despite what you think. Wrestling is real to some people. Wrestling is very real. But anyway, we'll pack it up for this week. We want to thank you guys for tuning in. But one of the Christs, didn't he get outed in that Me Too thing? I feel like there's only one Christ wrestling now, but they were a phenomenal tag team. Absolutely. I always enjoyed watching them tag. I was sad when I heard the news about the guy. But hey, just want to thank everybody for dropping in today. Kevin, I know you got in late, but thank you for coming in. Again, just rewind, listen to the show, let us know what you think. Still make a comment if you want. We'll read it post, afterward, but we won't be able to comment. Thank you, Dave and David. Of course, Kat was in the chat. Tara was in there. And I don't know if we had anybody else, but if I missed you, That is only because all the comments say Facebook user on my page right now. So I don't know who is who. So if I did miss your name, but
Same
you did,
here.
if you're in the chat, we appreciate you. And we thank you for tuning in.
We still don't know
tonight.
why that happens either.
Yeah. I don't know if it's because
I'm watching it on my phone.
Oh, that's smart.
And that's how I'm seeing the names. But
yeah.
other than that, I don't know why it's been up this week.
Yeah. But I think we got everybody. We just want to thank you. And even if we did not mention your name specifically and you were still in there in the chat interacting with everybody, we do appreciate you taking the time. Comments help us in the algorithm, likes, all that shit, shares. That all helps. And just having the comments of everybody and recommending stuff and like when I asked the question about the TLC versus the ladder match thing and we got an answer in the chat, like everybody's very helpful. I like having the ability to not rely on the chat, but having the chat give us, questions, comments, prompts, all that stuff. Yes. Thank you. Thanks so much. We'll pack it up for now. We're going to be back next week. Like Steve said, we'll have one more show before the big dance. And that'll be next Tuesday, 9 p.m. on Eastern time. That will be our WrestleMania preview show. WrestleMania review plans are pending. We have to figure something out because otherwise we're going to be reviewing 2 nights of WrestleMania and Raw on the Tuesday after. Brief side thing. The Christ brothers they're on the Indies, and then I think they were in TNA/Impact during the later part of the 2010s and into the early 2000s. One of the brothers, I think, got popped for some Me Too stuff and got canceled, but the other one still wrestles.
Are they in Impact or TNA?
Yeah, I think they were in Impact for a while for sure, and I saw them on the Indies as well. They had a big,
they were with what's his name in that
Sammy Callahan, right?
Yeah,
Ohio versus everybody or whatever. Yeah. That's what it was. There we go. We figured it out. But we'll be back next week, 9 p.m. on Eastern time. We're on Facebook. We're on LinkedIn. We're on Steve's LinkedIn. We're on YouTube. We're on Twitch and Twitter and Instagram and all that. Most of the places we're at Tag Me a Date. Tag Me a Date, no spaces. It's all one word. You'll find us on Instagram, Twitter, etc. under at Tag Me a Date, Facebook, all that stuff. On YouTube, it's Tag Me a Date. Hit subscribe and hit the bell. All you got to do is type Tag Me a Date into the search bar. You hit the button and you'll be brought to our page. Twitch is twitch.tv/war report. That's all one word. Twitch.tv/WARREPORT. All the other socials are at Tag Me Date. And on Twitch and YouTube, you can go back and see the video archives. And the same thing on Facebook. You just have to scroll. Facebook's weird like that. You just got to keep scrolling back. But you can definitely catch up on the video versions however you'd like on whatever platform. If you prefer audio versions, never fear. Just subscribe on your favorite podcast app, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play Podcasts. Just type in the War Report, Tag Me a Date, whatever. You will get to our page to subscribe to the audio version of the podcast. Ryan puts the audio version of the podcast up within the hour of us going off the air. And it's a very big help to us because I don't know how to do it. So he does. But basically, if you prefer the audio version, subscribe. It goes in your inbox. It gets uploaded to your device after you hit subscribe. And you can take it with you driving or whatever you're doing throughout the day where you prefer to have an audio podcast instead of a video podcast. So with all that being said, we do very much appreciate everybody for tuning in. Thank you so much for contributing in the chat. We'll see everybody next week, 9 p.m. Eastern time for the WrestleMania WrestleMania preview edition of the War Report.
We'll be reviewing the Raw Go Home.